There we go. Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful night or day today, whichever it is. Today, we're starting with some more SCP reading. Starting off with SCP-067. Object Class Safe. When not in use or the subject of study, SCP-067 is to be stored in its felt-line wooden box. The nib is to be corked, and all art and writings are to be submitted to SCP Research Command for analysis and further experimentation. Description: SCP-067 is a fountain pen made by a German supply company, called Pelikan at some point between World War I and World War II. It is pale green in color, with a single red line going straight down along the side. The shell is oak, and the nib is extremely sharp, capable of piercing human skin if pressed even lightly. Though it apparently lacks a reservoir, the nib never runs out of fresh ink. In addition, the pen writes in iron gall ink, which is suitable for artists, but would normally corrode typical fountain pens quickly. Research has surmised that any subject holding SCP-067 loses all autonomy of the hand and arm that grasps it. Full sensation is intact, but the arm below the elbow is controlled by unknown forces. The elbow is controlled by unknown forces, theoretically centralized within SCP-067. One effect is that the controlled hand will start to use the pen to write a detailed biography of the individual holding the pen. The biography will include such information as the person's name, age, date of birth, criminal records, fears, etc. Other times, the pen has been known to write such things as an occurrence that happened in the person's lifetime. For example, test subject 1204 male held SCP-067. He began to write a detailed record of a motor incident he had been in a year before. Why is my mic? There we go. Maybe that'll make that quieter. I don't know what's causing those sounds. No. Where were we? Oh, yes. He began to write a detailed record of a motor vehicle accident he had been in the year before. Later, the subject admitted that many details penned in this account were not readily available to him at present time, i.e., the subject had forgotten many elements written in the present work, including his previous car's license plate, the vehicle's color, and so on. The subject stated that his memory of the event was so fresh in his mind during the transcription that he could taste the blood in his mouth. Subjects holding SCP-067 have also been known to create intricate works of art, despite the subject lacking any formal art training or previous tendencies towards drawing. For example, test subject 1102 female, a young woman with no previous artistic experience, was able to draw a winged creature resembling SCP blank, described by researchers present as data expunged. When subjects are asked to explain what happens when they hold SCP-067, the typical response is that the subject freely relinquishes control of their appendages to SCP-067, so it may complete its work unimpeded. See quoted response 01. Despite being instructed to not draw or write, subjects describe feeling of empathy, admiration, and cooperation with SCP-067 that coerces them towards a will not of their own. Quoted response 01. I don't really know how to explain it. It just kind of happened. When I picked up the pen, it seemed as if my hand wasn't my own anymore. I knew I could move it if I wanted to, but I chose not to because I loved the picture I was drawing. It was like my hand had life. Suddenly, my hand stopped, and I realized I had complete control over my hand again, and I put the pen back down. I looked at the drawing and saw how beautiful it was. I guess the pen decided it was done and was finished with me. Tests and experiments. On blank 2000 and blank, a test was done to see how the pen affected living creatures other than humans. Experiment 001. The test subject, a male rhesus macaque, aged 2 years and 4 months, who had previously learned how to use pens and markers, was placed in a standard psychological surveillance room, neural wall correlation, one-way observation mirrors, with SCP-067, a work table, and a pad of paper. Subject picked up SCP-067 with his left foot, then took it in his right hand, then tasted it. Subject then put the pen down on the paper and smelled it. After 30 seconds, subject picked up SCP-067 again and began tapping it repeatedly on the table. Subject also began tapping SCP-067 on his own body. Subject tapped SCP-067 with increasing force until ink was being splattered on its fur. Subject then threw SCP-067 onto the floor. Subsequent mechanical analysis revealed no damage. At this point, subject tore a page from the pad of paper and began rubbing it on the ink in his fur. This continued for 3 minutes, after which subject clutched the page in his teeth and leaped from the work table into the ledge of the observation mirror, with such force that the table was knocked over. Subject began smearing the ink from the paper onto the observation mirror while making repeated vocalizations. Subsequent analysis revealed that 50% of the vocalizations were consistent with typical distress vocalizations of the rhesus macaque, and 50% were unfamiliar. After 6 minutes of smearing ink on the observation mirror, subject began tearing at the page with his teeth and claws, but dropped it before destroying more than 20% of the paper. Subject then collapsed on the floor, breathing rapidly, and repeated the unfamiliar atypical vocalizations. Subject's handler reports that once removed from the psychological surveillance room, subject's mood improved rapidly. Subject was closely observed for 2 months following the experiment, but did not repeat the atypical vocalizations. The sheet of paper was filed away in data expunged. That's the end of SCP-067. On to SCP-068. Object Class, Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-068 is to be kept away from any metals in an electrically resistant box, preferably made of polytetrafluoroethylene, Teflon, and rubber. Said box is to be stored in Security Locker 26 at Site 11. The key is kept with Dr. Blank. Any requests for testing are to be redirected to him. Description: SCP-068 is a wire stick figure, 9.8 centimeters tall, made of an unknown metal. The figure is composed of a single wire looping back to the center. The wire itself appears to be... Let's try that again. The wire itself appears to have been bent numerous times in multiple places. When an electric current is introduced to SCP-068, it becomes animate, moving on its own. SCP-068's joints are where normal human beings would be. Once activated, SCP-068 begins to search for any metallic material. Once metal has been found, SCP-068 will begin to knead it and pull a thin strip of metal off. SCP-068 will then construct another figure similar to itself. The newly created figure will begin to knead the remaining metal alongside the original, creating new figures, which in turn produce more replicas. SCP-068 will move on to its next stage after one of two requirements are met. First is when there are no more metals in range with enough mass to produce another figure. The other is when an upper limit of 102 replicas are created. When either of these events occur, all figures will converge at one location and begin forming themselves into as big figure as possible. With a maximum of 102 minifigures, the resulting figure will reach 2 meters in height. SCP-068 situates itself at the intersection of the torso, arms, and head. Gamma, beta, and theta waves begin emitting from SCP-068 after this union. SCP-068 will then begin to search for metals again, attempting to create more figures, only scaled up to whatever size 068 is currently at. These replicas do not emanate brain waves like 068 does. If 068 is not at the maximum size limit after this, they will continue to create and add more figures to itself until the limit is reached. Once it has reached the second stage, and there are no more metals available from which to construct figures, SCP-068 returns to its dormant state after 4 minutes and 32 seconds of activity. Material surrounding the original figure must be melted away in order to retrieve 068. 068 is capable of kneading and manipulating any metal present to it, regardless of its properties. It also appears to be impervious to any attempts to damage or destroy it. Copies of SCP-068, however, have the same properties and vulnerabilities as whatever metal they are constructed from. SCP-068 can detect metals hidden from view through an as-of-yet unknown process. While 068 will not attempt to reach metals that are too difficult to get to, it will tear through anything that is soft enough for its limbs to penetrate. What it considers soft enough changes depending on what 068 is shaped from at the time. Addendum 068-A. A proposal has been made to use SCP-068 to dispose of dangerous metal-based SCPs. Addendum 068-B. Please see attached document 068-A. Document 068-A.
The proposal to use 068 for the disposal of dangerous metal-based SCPs has been denied. Seeing how many, if not all, of our dangerous metal-based SCPs are also invincible, the only thing we would have is a bunch of invulnerable wire figures running about. Honestly, who even thought this up?
Dr. Blank. End of SCP-068 and on towards SCP-069. The funny number. Object Class, Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-069 is currently impersonating former Foundation blank blank and is housed at Humanoid Containment Site 06-3. Crossed out is, SCP-069 is to be provided with any reasonable requested item and or material so long as such request does not violate Foundation security protocols. End of crossed out section. As SCP-069 is currently on suicide watch, all requests it makes must be approved by no fewer than 2 Level 3 personnel. If SCP-069 attempts to breach containment, it must be subdued using non-lethal methods. If SCP-069 dies, undercover agents are to be instructed to monitor reports of incidents in which individuals appear to have escaped certain death, and SCP-069 is to be recontained as soon as possible. Note: despite the fact that SCP-069 is identical in all ways to Agent Blank, it remains an active SCP in containment and is not to be treated as a Foundation employee. Any requests for classified information are to be denied, and visits from former co-workers without proper authorization are not allowed. Description: SCP-069 is a presumed humanoid entity of variable appearance and gender. Through an unknown ability, whenever SCP-069 is left alone with a recently deceased human body, the body will disappear, and SCP-069 will take on the appearance, mannerisms, and knowledge of the recently dead individual. Through extensive experimentation, it has been shown that SCP-069 is completely indistinguishable from the individual it impersonates, matching the original individual's fingerprints, DNA, and data expunged, with nearly perfect precision. SCP-069 retains no knowledge of its abilities or former impersonations. SCP-069 responds normally to injury and pain, but if killed, will rapidly decay into dust regardless of any preservation attempts. SCP-069 will then re-emerge at the site of the most recent human death. There is no known maximum range for this effect, and so far it has been observed in jumps of up to 675 kilometers. SCP-069 can impersonate a single individual indefinitely. However, it will gain an overriding urge to get their life in order, including but not limited to resolving any outstanding financial or personal obligations, visiting extended family, updating their will and testament, and other acts of closure. When questioned, SCP-069 professes no driving motive other than a desire to straighten out their lives in the event of unforeseen injury or death. SCP-069 first came to the Foundation's attention on blank blank 1990 blank, following reports of one John M., a blank city firefighter, who miraculously emerged alive from a 3-alarm building fire, in which 2 other firefighters and 11 civilians perished. Undercover agents attached to the local authorities were notified of a possible SCP when reports emerged that the firefighters' equipment had been damaged beyond recognition and that it had been deemed nearly impossible for the firefighter to emerge unscathed. Approximately 3 weeks later, then presumed John M. responded to another large-scale building fire, during which he entered a smoke-filled room alone and was never found. A single civilian was rescued from the building, again, nearly unharmed despite the heavy smoke reported within the building. SCP-069 was designated the following day and rendered into Foundation custody by members of Mobile Task Force XI-3, Body Snatchers. Addendum 069-01. On blank blank 2000 and blank, Agent blank blank, a guard on duty assigned to SCP-069, was killed during the containment breach of SCP blank and subsequently impersonated by SCP-069. Although initially in denial, after being informed of its identity, it has been most cooperative since its impersonation of a mid-level Foundation employee. Contingencies for the use of deceased Foundation employees for future SCP-069 use is under consideration. Addendum 069-02. On blank blank 2000 blank, SCP-069 attempted to commit suicide after a junior researcher accidentally informed it that the family of Agent blank had been told that Agent blank was dead, and of the subsequent reactions. Due to the massive cost of possibly having to recontain SCP-069, strict suicide watch measures are to be implemented. Plans to use other SCP Foundation employees as possible impersonation targets for SCP-069 have been suspended. And that is the end of SCP-069. On to SCP-070. Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-070 is to be kept within 10 meter by 10 meter reinforced concrete room that is to be guarded and remotely monitored at all times. This room must be well stocked with non-perishable food and water. See document 070-IC for a complete inventory of these items, as well as basic amenities for humanoid SCPs. Security personnel assigned to SCP-070 are to carry sticky foam guns to ensure in addition to standard armaments. I can words, I swear. Structural integrity of SCP-070's containment room is to be checked twice daily in case of excessive structural damage. SCP-070 is to be incapacitated and relocated to a nearby backup containment room as described above. If a reinforced concrete room of sufficient strength is not available, SCP-070 may be temporarily contained in a cell of stronger material until another concrete room can be prepared. SCP-070 is to be given sedatives and painkillers on request, but no more than maximum dosages determined by Dr. Dumont. Personnel who enter SCP-070's containment room for any reason must be unarmed and should wear puncture-resistant body armor. Armed guards must remain outside and out of sight of SCP-070. In case of containment breach due to somnambulism, I guess, security personnel are to alert site administration, place food and water in the apparent path of SCP-070, and maintain a clear zone of 25 meters around SCP-070. In any other case of a containment breach, or if SCP-070 becomes violent during somnambulism, personnel are authorized to incapacitate SCP-070 using sticky foam. Care must be taken to avoid smothering SCP-070. Because SCP-070 reflexively responds violently to injury or attack, security personnel should refrain from using lethal force or otherwise injuring SCP-070 if at all possible. Description: SCP-070 appears to be a human male of Native American descent, with a normal appearance, save for a pair of rusty metal wings emerging from its back. Each wing is composed of several flat iron bars, about 6 centimeters wide, connected end to end by rotating rivets to form an articulated length of metal over 2 meters long. Hanging from these bars are chains of various lengths, 22 on each wing, each tipped with a barbed arrowhead. SCP-070 appears to have no other anomalous properties besides these wings. The wings of SCP-070 appear to act independently of the person they are attached to, and SCP-070 has stated repeatedly that it has no control over them. However, when damage has been done to the wings, SCP-070 has shown signs of physiological distress. Sorry, every time I pause for that word, it's because I'm trying to determine whether it's physiological or psychological. They look a little bit similar. Including sweating, reduced blood flow to face, and screaming in pain. The wings have been observed to fold and expand, shoot out, and whip at chains at high speed, both individually and collectively, and anchor its arrowheads into concrete, wood, and like materials. While SCP-070 has not displayed any overt hostility to personnel, it will often react violently to perceived threats by lashing its chains out at assailants and wrapping its chains around its body in a defensive posture. The most effective means of subdual has proven to be sticky foam, non-lethal weaponry, which can reliably ensnare SCP-070's chains from a safe distance. Despite their rusted appearance, the wings and chains of SCP-070 are as strong as high-quality alloy steel. However, they are also as dense as steel. And SCP-070 cannot move about as a normal human due to the wing. Let's try that again. Despite their rusted appearance, the wings and chains of SCP-070 are as strong as high-quality alloy steel. However, they are also as dense as steel, and SCP-070 cannot move about as a normal human due to the weight of its wings. As yet, SCP-070 has been unable or unwilling to use its wings to facilitate human locomotion. SCP-070 spends much of its time anchored to walls and ceiling of its cell, usually sedated. Addendum. Incident 070-1. On blank 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 at 03 36. SCP-070 breached containment. Security personnel were advised that SCP-070 appeared to be asleep and were ordered to not engage SCP-070 and to keep others away. By lashing and anchoring chains to the walls and ceiling in front of it, SCP-070 was able to carry itself, still apparently asleep, through sight blank. SCP-070 broke into the food stores of Canteen 4 and proceeded to gorge itself on the available food and water. Almost 19 minutes later, apparently sated, SCP-070 returned to its containment room. At no time did SCP-070 appear to wake up. SCP-070 claimed no knowledge of the event afterwards. Addendum 070-2, Personal Background. Interviews have revealed that SCP-070 is named blank blank, and is capable of reciting the correct social security number for a U.S. citizen of the same name and age. SCP-070 claims to be a member of the Kiowa tribe and data expunged. SCP-070 claims to not know how the wings came to be, only remembering waking up in a scrapyard with them after taking a lot of peyote the night before. That is the end of SCP-070, and on to SCP-071. Object Class, Euclid, Special Containment Procedures. SCP-071 is contained in a modified standard humanoid containment cell with no direct observation capabilities. Surveillance of SCP-071 may only be performed via closed-circuit video with an approximate... may only be performed via closed-circuit video with a minimum delay of 60 seconds. Experimentation with SCP-071 may only be performed with permission of at least 2 Level 4 site directors, and personnel entering SCP-071's containment area may only do so in groups of at least 4. Any personnel exhibiting unusual or compulsive behavior must be removed from the area immediately, given a full psychiatric screening, and either administered a Class C amnestic or reassigned as deemed appropriate. Under no circumstance should personnel be permitted to observe SCP-071 directly or through non-delayed surveillance footage. All visual recordings and photographs of SCP-071 must be destroyed immediately once they are no longer needed. Description: SCP-071 is a metamorphic entity that possesses the ability to assume forms consistent with that of its observer's strongest sexual desires. This ability is effective even through barriers designed to prevent SCP-071's recognition of any observers, such as through closed-circuit surveillance or one-way mirrors. But it can be prevented by introducing a delay in surveillance footage so that such observation does not occur in real time. SCP-071 appears to be unable or unwilling to change form without external stimuli, instead remaining in its last form when left unobserved. There appears to be little or no limit to the forms SCP-071 is capable of assuming. See Addendum 071-01 for additional information. SCP-071 also appears to be intelligent. However, as it has not shown any ability to verbally communicate, and its behavior is limited to actions which entice its observers to sexual activity, it is unknown whether SCP-071 actually possesses sentience or merely mimics behavior expected by its observers. Human subjects allowed to engage in sexual activity with SCP-071 suffer rapid atrophy of muscle, skeletal structure, and brain function, with onset occurring 1 to 2 days after contact. The atrophy persists for up to 7 days. Dependent on physical therapy administered after onset, though the subject may also suffer permanent decrease in stature, decreased organ function, decreased brain mass, and sterility. Subjects who achieve autogratification through masturbation via the use of media containing SCP-071, whether delayed or not, suffer the same effects. SCP-071 came to the Foundation's attention on blank 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 following data expunged. Due to the ongoing medical cases consistent with exposure to SCP-071, efforts to remove all visual recordings of SCP-071 from the internet are ongoing. Addendum 071 Researcher Note. SCP-071's ability to change forms does not appear to be limited to normal human subjects. On blank blank blank, when presented with the subject D7883, SCP-071 assumed the shape of a female golden retriever. D7883 reacted with shock and refused to proceed with the experiment. Though the subject's psychological signs were consistent with a state of sexual arousal. On blank blank blank, SCP-071 assumed the form of a female human corpse when exposed to D8762. Medical staff confirmed a complete lack of life signs, and SCP-071 suffered no harm from the transition, later assuming the form of a blank-year-old male subject when exposed to D8765. Dr. Blank. Well, isn't that lovely? On to SCP-072. Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. All known instances of SCP-072 are to be contained in a 3.5 by 4 meter holding cell. Access is only allowed during authorized testing procedures. Without prior approval from Senior Researcher Grant, no materials created for the purpose of being slapped on are to be introduced into a 15-meter vicinity of the holding cell. Description. Instances of SCP-072 were first discovered in an apartment building in Blank, Michigan. After 2 local media reports on SCP-072's effects caused a local panic. This drew the attention of Embedded Foundation Agent Blank. SCP-072 is a shadowy and translucent projection that resembles a 0.9 meter long hand, the fingers of which taper to a sharp point. Detailed recording of SCP-072 is difficult, as it does not manifest at light levels above 5 lux. Instances of SCP-072 have only been observed to manifest when a human, hereafter referred to as the subject, enters REM sleep, while located in a bed infected by SCP-072 and leaves a foot or feet exposed to open air. If these conditions are satisfied, SCP-072 will emerge from the foot of the bed and appear to use its pointer finger to tap on the subject's foot until they awaken. Subjects have reported that at this point, they were unable to move, showing symptoms similar to sleep paralysis. This continued as long as SCP-072 is visible. SCP-072 will then use its pointed fingers to cut portions of flesh from the exposed parts of the subject's foot or feet. It will return to within the bed in between each removal, emerging without the collected material. This will continue until SCP-072 has taken all the exposed foot or feet, stopping at the ankle. Those subjects exposed to SCP-072 report this process being immensely painful. Its paralytic effects render them unable to scream or call for help. It is unknown if manifestations of SCP-072 feed on the collected material or use them for some other purpose. As long as the wounds are properly treated, SCP-072's effects are not fatal, but have observed to cause psychological damage related to sleep in the future. There is also a secondary effect. Any bed within an approximately 10-meter vicinity of the bed, which manifests the effects of SCP-072, will also host an instance of SCP-072. Destruction of a bed affected by SCP-072 reveals no anomalous materials and no trace of biological material removed by subjects. Addendum. List of known SCP-072 objects. SCP-072-1 through 3. Recovered from original apartment complex, 3 twin-sized beds which were located within 10 meters of each other. SCP-072-4, a king-sized poster bed contaminated during SCP-072's time in Site Blank. Temporary anomalous objects holding. SCP-072-5, a sleeping bag with bottom removed, introduced to SCP-072-1 for testing. When D-2191 entered REM sleep in the object, data expunged. SCP-072-5 not recommended for testing in future. SCP-072-6 and 7. Beds introduced to SCP-072 and later destroyed for examination. Remains of SCP-072-6 and 7 appear unaffected, but are to be contained until further studies may be completed. That is the end of SCP-072. On to SCP-073. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-073 is to be kept in a two-room cell furnished with all non-organic furniture and items and a bathroom. Subject is allowed to freely wander the facility and eat in the main canteen. A tracking device has been attached to SCP-073's person and is not to be removed. Subject is disallowed any contact with the surface and is not allowed outside the facility. Subject is not allowed any contact with plant-based SCPs under any circumstances. Violence is not to be used against SCP-073 under any circumstance. SCP-073 is currently kept in Site-17. Description: SCP-073 appears to be a heavily tanned male of Arabic or Middle Eastern descent in his early 30s, 185 centimeters, 6 foot 1 inches, tall, and 75 kilograms, 165 pounds, with black hair and blue eyes. Arms, legs, spinal cord, and shoulder blades of the subject appear to have been replaced with artificial versions of unknown make and metal. Subject only takes notice of this when it is pointed out and states that it has no knowledge of how or why or when these replacements took place, stating it has had them as long as it can remember. There is a symbol engraved on the forehead of the subject, which appears to be of Sumerian origin. Symbol has of yet been untranslated, and subject appears distressed when the symbol is mentioned at all, refusing to speak on it. Subject does need to eat and drink on a regular basis, but is strictly carnivorous owing to its effects on plant-based items. SCP-073, who refers to itself as Cain, is generally polite and genial to all who speak to it, though it has been described as being cold and somewhat mechanical in its speech. It is very helpful and enjoys aiding personnel in their daily actions, whatever they may be. It has highly detailed knowledge of ancient to recent events in history, and most commonly spoken languages in the world, including ones that have since died out. Subject has professed to having a photographic memory, remembering word for word all text in an 800-page dictionary that was flicked through in a minute and a half. It has scored above average on all intelligence tests given to it. SCP-073's presence is inimical to any and all life grown in soil, causing death to any such life within a 20-meter radius. Any land SCP-073 has walked on, and any within the 20-meter radius, become barren, as all anaerobic bacteria dies, rendering the soil incapable of supporting life until new bacteria are introduced. Anything that is derived from soil growth, such as wood and paper, immediately rots and disintegrates upon touch of SCP-073. Further affected derivatives include anything hydroponically grown. Violence directed towards SCP-073 reflects any damage inflicted on SCP-073 directly back onto the attacker, although SCP-073 remains visibly unharmed. This applies any damage directed at SCP, or this applies to any damage directed at SCP-073. Attempts to get tissue and blood samples have proven futile. When the procedures were initiated, personnel carrying out the action felt the sensation of whatever was applied to SCP-073 and wound up with a sample of their own blood or tissue, despite the fact that all actions were directed solely at SCP-073. Indirect damage through a medium also results in the person perpetrating the action receiving the wounds caused. Although SCP-073 receives no actual harm from damage to its person, it is stated that it still feels the pain of the action, and has politely asked researchers to abstain from overly harmful actions to its person. Additional notes. SCP-073 was found in the New York Police Department on 19 blank, having been taken in after subject had been found amidst the bodies of several violent gang members. SCP-073 told the police members that the gang had attempted to make sport out of it, but became angry and attempted to kill SCP-073, resulting in their own demise. SCP-073 was incarcerated and deemed a John Doe, when NYPD could not find any information about it. SCP-073 came to Foundation custody through a routine inspection of John Does and was subsequently released into our custody. Addendum 073-1. Examination of the unidentified metal on SCP-073 has suggested that it is beryllium bronze, a metal that has been documented as being utilized by various anomalous cultures and entities. Most notably, beryllium bronze is a component found in SCP-121-6, SCP-142-7, SCP-248-1, and SCP-271-1. In light of this discovery, the Foundation began working on an attempt to trace the origin of beryllium bronze and how it spread throughout the world. When prompted, SCP-073 was able to provide information that suggests that beryllium bronze originated in the Middle East, though the exact point of origin has yet to be determined. Further research into the origin of beryllium bronze is currently ongoing. Addendum 073-2. In light of SCP-073's indestructible nature, photographic memory, and general will to please, High Command has deemed that all information to be backed up on SCP-073, ensuring it is not lost in the event of a catastrophe. While this action has been met with mixed responses, SCP-073 has agreed and sworn itself to secrecy on its part. Addendum 073-3. When information concerning SCP-076 was brought to the attention of SCP-073 for backing up, subject showed familiarity with the information, although was disinclined to adding to it. Despite the fact that it stated that it already knew all about SCP-076, it stated it would be better for all parties involved that it not meet SCP-076. And that's the end of the SCP. Of note, I believe, while this one's Kane, SCP-076, I believe, is Abel, from the story Cain and Abel from the Bible. Also of note, if you are interested in hearing more about SCP-073, I have more information on it on the last story of the second part of, what was it, Resurrection, I believe? Yes, so if you check out the second Resurrection episode, which should just be, I think there's a playlist, or you can search it or whatever else. I have it as the last story in there, which I think this is the one that was on... I think this was on the Wanderer's Library page. Something about... no, I don't remember what it's called. But yes, I do have more stories about it, so if you are interested, feel free to check it out, or look it up on your own. Following up, we have SCP-074. Object Class Euclid. Updated File. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-074 is contained at Site 81. SCP-074 is an active info hazard. No research in evaluating its anomalous properties is to be conducted. All personnel who have previously engaged in research into SCP-074's anomalous properties, who have a post-secondary or greater education in physics, or who have accessed Archive 074-317E must never come in within 5 kilometers of SCP-074. SCP-074 is contained within a 6 meter by 6 meter by 3 meter reinforced glass chamber. And a footnote here, informing us that a smaller containment chamber significantly increases the probability of SCP-074 spontaneously breaching primary containment. Filtered to block out all ultraviolet light and situated within a windowless room lit by monochromatic safe lights, which serves as secondary containment. The containment chamber is to be surrounded by scaffolds bearing sheets of live, cultured human skin held parallel to the surface of the containment chamber and arranged overlapping each other with such that lateral coverage is at least 95%. Skin sheets must be a minimum of 3 millimeters thick and warmed to 37 degrees Celsius, and must be grown from samples provided by D-class personnel with no less than a middle school education, and no more than a high school education. All skin sheets are to be examined on a daily basis for instances of SCP-074-1. All instances of SCP-074-1 are to be excised and incinerated. SCP-074 is to be fed 75 grams of fresh shredded apple, genus Malus, leaves, bark, and fruit, hydroponically grown to ensure lack of pollutants and foreign organisms, once a day via mechanical dispenser. In the event of a spontaneous containment breach, personnel can coerce SCP-074 into returning to its containment by first occupying each of its 4 sets of jaws with an entire raw apple, then physically pushing SCP-074 in the desired location, while tapping its compound eyes with an open palm and spraying its front pair of antennae with a 0.5% solution of methonic acid. Description: SCP-074 is an anomalous organism which uses various quantum properties at a macroscopic scale, and in other ways modifies the standard laws of physics within its immediate vicinity. The specific nature of these modifications appear to be linked to the extent at which humans in SCP-074's vicinity are aware of the precise details of the physical laws which SCP-074 modifies, such that research to determine whether SCP-074 has a given property or capability results in SCP-074 developing or manifesting that property or capability. Archive 074-317E, a full list of the anomalous physical phenomena known to be or to have been associated with SCP-074, is available to personnel level 3 or higher. Personnel who access this document will be disqualified from working with SCP-074, or for any other reason coming within 5 kilometers of Site-81. SCP-074 has repeatedly manifested the ability to spontaneously materialize at locations as much as 3 meters outside its primary containment. This is believed to be, or to be analogous to, quantum tunneling. Foundation etymologists have tentatively identified SCP-074 as belonging to the order Isopoda, commonly known as woodlouse. Its interior mass is approximately 1,700 kilograms, but its gravitational mass is approximately 375 grams. Its volume has been estimated at 1.7 cubic meters, approximately the size of a compact car. SCP-074 is female, with a footnote here noting that although it lacks the typical isopod marsupium, or brood pouch in which eggs are incubated, and parthenogenic periodically, and the footnote for periodic is approximately 1.3 times per hour when SCP-074 is shielded from ultraviolet light, and approximately 29.2 times an hour when SCP-074 is exposed to unfiltered daylight. The globular organ at the tip of its ovipositor? Ovipositor? The globular organ at the top of its ovipositor luminescence and emits what was originally thought to be a form of non-ionizing radiation, but which has since been identified as coherent wave packets. And a footnote here saying personnel who properly understand the concept of wave packets are disqualified from working with SCP-074. Of the probability of one of SCP-074's self-fertilized eggs, henceforth SCP-074-1, revivifying. Literally becoming a thing, that is, spontaneously coming into existence. Reifying, sorry. Instances of SCP-074-1 preferentially reify and incubate within the flesh of humans with knowledge of physics. And another footnote here, the rudimentary knowledge of physics, which even poorly educated adult citizens and technological civilizations can acquire via cultural osmosis, e.g., magnets can attract or repel each other, matter is made of atoms, light has speed, appears to be sufficient. In the absence of suitable humans to serve as hosts, the wave packets will reify within other organisms, or within inanimate objects. However, rather than incubating, the eggs will wither and die, leaving perforations similar to radiation damage at a microscopic scale. The wave packets appear to decay over time, as no wave packets or instances of wave packets related to damage have been detected at distances greater than approximately 400 meters from SCP-074. The rate at which successfully incubated instances of SCP-074-1 mature appears to be dependent on the host's exposure to ultraviolet light. Within a host exposed to an average of 30 minutes of unfiltered sunlight per day for a month, an instance of SCP-074-1 was observed to grow from 2 milligrams to 8 kilograms. And another footnote, at which point it was surgically excised and killed. Whereas within a host totally isolated from natural light for a month, the 3 simultaneous instances reached sizes at accession of only 600 grams, 680 grams, and 710 grams. The complete developmental history and life cycle of SCP-074-1 include how they emerge from their hosts, and their size at emergence is yet unknown. That is the end of SCP-074. On to SCP-075. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-075 is contained in a 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter level 4 corrosion-resistant container, which must be contained in a secure chamber with equal corrosion resistance. The absolute humidity of the chamber may not exceed 1% at any time. Medical-grade desiccants must be available at all times in order to maintain this level of humidity. If the humidity of SCP-075's chamber ever exceeds 1%, all personnel are to be evacuated immediately and the site locked down until the humidity is reduced to acceptable levels. All personnel who enter SCP-075's containment chamber must wear MOPP Level 4 protection. Injection tests, as well as any tests which involve an aqueous solution, are strictly forbidden. If any such solution comes into contact with SCP-075, the area will be immediately locked down and flooded with desiccant until the humidity is brought back to acceptable levels. Evacuation of personnel remaining in the area is prohibited. Description: SCP-075 resembles a large snail, 20 centimeters in length, 13 centimeters in width, and 15 centimeters in height, with a muscular foot resembling a 6-fingered clawed hand. SCP-075 is exceptionally heavy, with a mass of approximately 860 kilograms, a property that is not understood. Desiccation is the only known means of containing SCP-075, as it will enter a dormant state when nearly completely dry. When not desiccated, SCP-075 moves at incredible speeds for its size and mass. It adopts the behavior of a predator, jumping at and drenching its prey in a highly caustic base solution secreted from pores in its foot. These secretions are more corrosive than any substance known to terrestrial science. Due to SCP-075's aggressive behavior, when active, this compound cannot be harvested. No material completely resistant to its corrosive power has been found. Addendum 075-F. Attempts to harvest SCP-075 secretions must be approved and supervised by all on-site Level 4 personnel. However, approval of said personnel cannot override the standing order to not introduce any liquid solution to SCP-075, including its own secretions. Addendum 075-G. A cup of SCP-075 secretions were successfully harvested using SCP-294. Testing is underway to determine what substance, if any, are immune to its corrosion. Testing is also underway to determine why the cup provided by SCP-294 is immune to the substance's effects. I believe SCP-294 is a vending machine that gets you whatever you want. Alright, on to SCP-076. I believe this one was able. From Dr. Blank 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 to Director Maria Jones, Records Keeping and Information Security Administration. Subject: Revision of SCP-076 SCP file. Blank.
I have to go on record saying that I seriously object to the proposed revisions of the SCP-076 Special Containment Procedures file. I know that redact all important stuff already claims it's a security risk, but you and I both know it's just top brass trying to sweep their biggest and most embarrassing mistake ever under the damn rug. Omega-7 happened, it existed. Those people died because you screwed up, and you can't change that no matter how hard you try to hide it. For God's sake, man, those people guarding him deserve to know exactly what he is and what he did. What we did. How we fucked up so they'll know better. SCP-076 Object Class Keter, Special Containment Procedures. Containment Area 25B is to be located 200 meters below sea level, tunneled out of solid bedrock in a seismologically stable area. Sole access to the containment facility is to be through a vertical elevator shaft separated every 50 meters with a reinforced blast door constructed out of 20 centimeter thick material shielding. Elevator shaft shall be flooded with seawater when not in use. Containment Area 25B is to be constructed with the following components: an outer security perimeter against outside threats, staffed by security personnel trained in close quarters battle and counter-intrusion tactics. An administrative and support area, ASA, consisting of support facilities and living quarters for on-site personnel. A primary containment zone, PCZ, consisting of a 7-meter cube encased in 1.5 meters of reinforced material. PCZ is to be designed to be flooded and drained as needed, and should remain filled with seawater unless access to contents is required. A 150-meter killing corridor, which is to be the sole access to the PCZ from the ASA, including water power, drainage, and ventilation lines. The walls and floor of the corridor are to be reinforced in a similar manner to the PZZ. With the addition of an electric deterrent system capable of delivering a 20,000-volt shock. A security station located at the entrance to the killing corridor is to be staffed with no fewer than 3 armed security personnel on watch at any point in time. Armament is to include, but not limited to, at least one blank CIW system on a pintle mount with a clear line of sight down the corridor with a plexiglass screen to protect the operator from thrown weapons. In the event of a breach, all on-site staff are to proceed immediately to the closest security station for weapon and armor distribution. Staff will remain at Alert Condition 1 until SCP-076-2 is confirmed neutralized.
Should 90 minutes pass after declaration of full breach without a stand-down order being given by level 4 or higher personnel, full contingencies measures will be activated. Flooding the entire facility in seawater and sealing off the access shaft for a minimum of 24 hours before retrieval is attempted. This will, by necessity, result in the deaths of all on-site staff. Description: SCP-076 consists of two components: a stone cube, SCP-076-1, and a humanoid entity contained within, SCP-076-2. SCP-076-2 is a 3-meter cube made of black speckled metamorphic stone. All surfaces outside and within SCP-076-1 are covered in deeply engraved patterns corresponding to no known civilizations. Radioisotope analysis indicates that the object is approximately 10,000 years old. A door is located on one side, sealed with a lock 0.5 meters in width, surrounded by 20 smaller locks in a circular pattern. As of yet, none of the keys have been found, making the door impossible to lock once closed. Interior temperature is approximately 93 Kelvin and cannot be altered by any means, internal or external. Directly in the center of the room is a 2.13 meter tall stone coffin, held in place and sealed shut by several chains of unknown make and substance, which are attached to the inner corners of SCP-076-1. SCP-076-2 resembles a lean, Semitic human male in his late 20s. Hair is black, eyes are gray, skin olive tone. Subject is 1.96 meters in height and 81.65 kilograms in weight. Numerous tattoos depicting arcane and occult iconography are present all over the body, mostly in the form of leering demonic faces, and range from subtle to openly ostentatious. Subject, when encased inside SCP-076-1, is technically dead. However, occasionally, SCP-076-2 will awaken, effectively reanimating, complete with all vital processes needed to sustain a living being. Subject will then attempt to leave SCP-076-1. If successful, subject will enter a trance state and seek out the nearest human being, ignoring all other living things in the process. Upon coming in contact with living humans, SCP-076-2 will enter a rage state in which it attempts to engage and kill all human beings encountered. To date, only the subject's death has been shown to be effective in ending these rampages. Terminating SCP-076-2 is often problematic due to its significant physical abilities. Subject has superhuman strength and speed, and although not invulnerable, has shown a remarkable ability to ignore pain and shock. Pressed on, despite what would be debilitating wounds in normal humans. Prior encounters have shown that SCP-076-2 has the ability to, among other things, rip through a reinforced steel security door over the course of 4 minutes of sustained assault, clear over 64 meters of distance in under 3 seconds, take multiple 50 caliber BMG rounds to the head and survive for several minutes to continue killing, despite severe damage to the cerebellum, swat handgun and assault rifle caliber bullets out of the air with a length of steel rebar, survive over 1 hour deprived of oxygen before finally asphyxiating. SCP-076-2's most unusual ability, however, is its ability to apparently materialize bladed weapons out of nowhere. Slow motion footage reveals that the blades in question are actually pulled from a miniature dimensional rift described as a small hole in space. Where this portal leads is unknown, as is how SCP-076-2 is capable of generating such rifts. Footage of the blades in question shows them to be made out of a completely non-reflective black material appearing as a black void in space. As the blades rapidly vanish after leaving the subject's possession, no structural analysis is possible at this time. SCP-076-2 has effectively been killed several times in various manners. Sustained fire from multiple heavy caliber machine guns, asphyxiation, crushed beneath a 13.6 metric ton piece of elevator equipment for use on SCP-076-1, cremation through the use of a thermite TH-3 grenade placed directly inside SCP-076-2's open chest cavity, and during the worst breach to date, Containment Area 25, which previously housed SCP-076, was forced to detonate its on-site warhead in an attempt to contain SCP-076-2 while it was attempting escape, resulting in total destruction of the site and all on-site personnel. SCP-076-1 survived. Upon death, SCP-076-2's remains will putrefy rapidly until reduced to dust. SCP-076-1 and the coffin within will then slam shut with great force, and the lock will rotate, sealing it shut. SCP-076-2 will then reform within the coffin, a process taking anywhere from 6 hours to 25 years. What posthumous analysis of SCP-076-2 exists shows that it has an internal system highly different from our own, documented in Data Expunged. Additional, SCP-076 was found in blank Mongolia in 18 blank by archaeologists from England. All members of the expedition were subsequently killed on the return voyage home. SCP-076 was recovered from the ship blank blank by the Blank Society, one of the organizations that later merged into the modern Global Occult Coalition, and placed on display in their inner sanctum. SCP-076 remained in storage for blank years until SCP-076-2 became active and escaped on blank blank blank. The reason for SCP-076's activation is currently unknown, but it was at this point that the keys to the outer shell were lost. A massive manhunt lasting over 3 years and blank blank took place until SCP-076-2 was incapacitated by blank blank, killing it and causing it to reform inside SCP-076-1, by then retrieved and secured by agents of the SCP Foundation. Subject was in custody for 3 more years under constant supervision and was terminated whenever it became active. Though it occasionally was able to escape for short periods, often due to security breaches caused by attacks from other organizations, the Foundation's death toll due to this was data expunged. Data expunged, data expunged. After the last incident, the current procedures regarding SCP-076 were implemented, although they are upgraded regularly with the increase in technological standards. Addendum 076-2, Project Able and Mobile Task Force Omega-7. And looks like we have a reasonably large thing. We'll read through it. Classified, Eyes Only. SCP-076, Classified Eyes Only. All information regarding Project Able and Mobile Task Force Omega-7 Pandora's Box is classified Q clearance by order of O5 Council. By proceeding, you are acknowledging that you have clearance to view these files and that you have received need-to-know permission from the appropriate Level 4 or higher authority. Proceed. Mobile Task Force Omega-7 Incident Log. From Director Maria Jones, Record Keeping and Information Security Administration, to Level 4 Administrators. Subject: RAISA Update to Security Protocol re Supplemental Information re SCP-076. File name: Addendum 076-1, Project Able and Mobile Task Force Omega-7. Prior classification, 05. New classification, level 3 need to know basis. Effective date, blank blank blank. Psychological profile of Subject 076-2. Subject or SCP-076-2 either possesses a mind constructed much differently than our own, or is completely insane, with little empathy or ideas in a way we could understand. Concepts such as sex, love, and equality are completely foreign ideas to SCP-076-2, or at least in comparison to its way of viewing. Subject has shown that it is completely disinterested in sex, barely differentiating between genders, except as a form of visual identification. Also, while Subject has admitted greatly enjoying the act of killing, causing pain, either emotionally or physically, holds no attraction to it. In short, a perfect psychopath. Intelligence tests have been wildly inconclusive when applied to SCP-076-2, and no accurate result has yet been obtained. This may be due to the alien thought process of the subject. SCP-076-2 has, however, shown that it has great knowledge of human anatomy, although in highly violent context, military tactics and open warfare, metallurgy, and, strangely enough, the care of livestock. Subject has knowledge of several languages, including English, but most notable is its knowledge of several dialects of ancient Sumerian, which seem to be its preferred language. SCP-076 has nothing but contempt for human beings, with one exception. It seems to hold a wary respect for those it acknowledges as superior. This was discovered when Agent Blank, an agent who had previously had a large amount of experience with SCP-076-2, did not appear once it escaped. Subject seemed distressed, asking several personnel while Agent Blank was hiding. When it finally did learn of the fate of Agent Blank, killed as collateral damage in an airstrike intended to halt the advance of SCP Blank, SCP-076-2 stopped its rampage and allowed itself to be escorted and restrained. Subject was then interviewed on these sudden, drastic changes in its behavior. So, why are you so interested in the death of Agent Blank? SCP-076-2 begins swearing in ancient Sumerian. I'd try that, but I don't know ancient Sumerian. Dr. Blank. Why does his death bother you? You've killed so many humans before. Why is he so... SCP-076-2. Now speaking in English. Different? Because unlike you, Sumerian word untranslated, he was a challenge, a real enemy. Dr. Blank. Why would that be good for you? Every time you have awoken, you've tried to escape. He was responsible for apprehending you several times. Surely you must be glad he is dead. SCP-076-2. I would hardly expect you to understand. Do you know? He managed to shoot me in the head over blank times. A man like that deserves to die in combat, so close to his opponent he can feel his breath. Not in some Sumerian words, untranslated, destruction ordered by cowardly kings and princes safe in their palaces. The rest of you? SCP-076-2 spits. You disgust me. I don't even have the urge to strike you down. Subject is silent from then on, refusing to speak or respond. End log. I would have done a Sumerian accent, but I have no idea what that sounds like. This indicates a possible psychological inlet into SCP-076-2's mind and a possible control mechanism. Given the massive drain on resources SCP-076-2 causes due to its escape attempts, and considering Bowie Command's stated desire to weaponize SCP objects for tactical purposes, I recommend that we pursue this course of action as soon as possible. Dr. P.G. From Dr. Blank, blank blank. To Dr. P.G. Project Omega-7. Subject. Blank. He said yes. Blank. Project Proposal. Mobile Task Force Omega-7. Pandora's box. Mission statement. Support of SCP-076-2 able in the field, a high-risk tactical situation. Task Force Organization. Task Force Special Agent Able, Task Force Leader blank blank. 10 to 20 field agents divided into 5 teams of 3 to 5 each. Members of the team are to be personally selected by the field agents, or from field agents by Subject Able himself, in order to maintain a smooth relationship between the artifact and the mundane elements of the task force. Security Protocol. SCP-076-2 Able is to wear a device attached to his neck that, if triggered or tampered with, will immediately detonate, terminating SCP-076-2 by way of complete destruction of the spinal cord, trachea, and all major blood vessels in the neck. A tracking device has also been attached to SCP-076-2's person. It is to refrain from killing unless ordered to do so, and is to avoid causing damage to the organization's facilities. Armament and Equipment. Team members are to be armed and equipped in accordance with MTF doctrine. As Subject Able has shown no inclination to use firearms, or in fact no understanding of their use or tactical implications, he has insisted to be armed with one or more edged melee weapons of his choice. Addendum. For God's sake, blank, find these guys something to do. Abel's getting bored, and he started putting his team through live fire exercises. They get bullets, he gets training weapons. Have you ever seen someone break a man's jaw using a Nerf sword? He's not going to stop until someone gets killed. Dr. Blank, blank, blank. Report by Dr. P.G., Project Omega-7. In light of SCP-076-2's proficient use in the Sumerian languages, researchers have asked it to translate several documents. While it originally replied with disinterest, it has translated some of the documents it found worthy of its attention. Most of the documents chosen by SCP-076-2 were regarding battles or legendary heroes, one of its favorites in particular being the Epic of Gilgamesh. However, one researcher presented it with the symbol from SCP-073. Upon sight of this, SCP-076-2 became highly enraged, killing several of the researchers before its kill switch could be activated. When revived and questioned about this, SCP-076-2 responded aggressive, and that line of questioning was immediately dropped. It is recommended that anything pertaining SCP-073 never be brought to the attention of SCP-076-2, and that the two are never to be in the same facility. Addendum. Recently, SCP-105 has been accepted into Mobile Task Force Omega-7, having beaten SCP-076-2 in a contest to see which one of the two could activate several devices, each spaced over a mile away from each other and the starting point. SCP-105 managed to score significantly higher than SCP-076-2 by using her inherent abilities to her advantage. SCP-076-2 ceded defeat and allowed her entry into the group. Addendum 076-09. Proposed introduction of SCP-076-2 to SCP-68-2 put on indefinite hold. Those with security clearance level 4 or higher may request access to contingency 076-2 number 3. Addendum 076-23. Per the request of Bowie Commission, Mobile Task Force Omega-7 is to be fielded in the blank region of blank against data expunged. From Dr. Blank 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 to Dr. PG, Project Omega-7. Subject, don't do it, P. Blank. For God's sake, don't do it. It's bad enough that they're trying to weaponize Iris too. Don't let the military bully us into doing their dirty work against some sand farmers. Against some sand farmers in blank. Blank. From General Blank Bowie Blank to Dr. PG, Project Omega-7. Subject, a job well done.
Excellent work, Doctor. The mission went exactly as planned. We'll be calling you again if we need your help.
General Bowie. From Dr. Blank 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 to Dr. PG, Project Omega-7. Subject, I hope you're proud of yourself, motherfucker. Hello.jpg. Because you're a bigger asshole than this guy. From Dr. PG, Project Omega 7 to Omega 7 Team, reassignment. As of this moment, Dr. Blank 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 has been reassigned to SCP-682 as Level 1 personnel. Data expunged. From Dr. PG, Project Omega 7 to General Bowie, subject problems. Data expunged. Despite our best efforts, Subject Abel is proving difficult to control. All our attempts to keep him engaged have been more or less unsuccessful. The problem is he's a perfect killing machine and that's all he wants to do, which seems like exactly what we wanted, but the problem is we can't seem to turn him off. Data expunged. I'm running out of missions to give him, and the ones I have left aren't engaging him mentally. He's starting to lash out at other team members. It's only a matter of time before something goes wrong, requesting permission to discontinue the project and neutralize Abel temporarily until we can find something more for him to do. From General Bowie to Dr. PG, Project Omega 7, problems. Unacceptable. Neutralizing Subject Abel at this point is going to cause problems, or going to cause us an unacceptable delay. We'll have another mission for you within a couple of weeks. All I need you to do is keep him busy until then. Send him on vacation or something. From Dr. PG, Project Omega 7. To all staff, subject, alert. This is an automated alert. SCP-076 has disabled the explosive collar failsafe and gone out of control. All staff to high alert. Further requests as events warrant. From Automated Defense System, Containment Area 25. To all sites, subject, final option engagement. This is an automated message. Do not reply. As of blank 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 blank, Containment Area 25 has engaged in on-site nuclear warhead, or its on-site nuclear warhead on 10-minute countdown. From O5 Command to all sites. Subject, Containment Area 25 final option response. As of blank 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 blank, Containment Area 25 has been destroyed by detonation of its on-site nuclear warhead. Sites 67 and 68 are to activate the FEMA protocol and secure the location as soon as possible. Official cover story will be released by RAISA to all personnel once drafted. Revised psychological profile of subject SCP-076-2. SCP-076-2 either possesses a mind constructed much differently than our own, or is completely insane with little empathy or ideas that we would understand. Concepts such as sex, love, equality are completely foreign ideas to SCP-076-2, or at least in comparison to its way of viewing them. Subject has shown that it is completely disinterested in sex, barely differentiating between genders, except as a form of visual identification. Also, while subject seems to greatly enjoy the act of killing, causing pain, either emotionally or physically, holds no attraction to it. Intelligence tests have been wildly inconclusive when applied to SCP-076-2, and no accurate results have yet been obtained. This is due to the fact that no communication is possible with the subject when in its rage state. Subject displays knowledge of several languages, including English, but most notable is its knowledge on several dialects of Ancient Sumerian, which seem to be its preferred language. SCP-076 has nothing but contempt for human beings and will kill them on sight. No communication is to be attempted with the subject. And that is the end of SCP-076. On to SCP-078. Or, SCP-077. I can, in fact, count. It's hard, but yes, I can. Object Class, Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-077 is to be kept in Research Sector 861 on top of a 0.5 meter steel pedestal in a 3 meter by 3 meter by 3 meter chamber with 0.5 meter thick steel reinforced walls. Apologies. The reinforced steel hatch door to the chamber is to comply with AH-37 protocol, and is to be guarded at all times by 2 Level 1 personnel. A boom mic connected to a speech recognition system should verify that all pronunciation is within standards. A camera is to be mounted within the chamber to record any changes. Every 8 hours, a minimum of 2, but preferably 3, trained D-Class personnel are to enter the containment area and, in a loud, clear voice, read the runes etched onto SCP-077 in unison. The reading must be performed by individuals who understand the full meaning of the runes being said, who are able to pronounce the entirety of the inscription correctly, and who are no more than 30 centimeters away from SCP-077. All personnel must undergo 1-week training session with foundation linguists for pronunciation, reading, and dialect coaching. A minimum of 20 D-Class personnel are to be trained and undergoing training at all times. Trained D-Class personnel are exempt from terminations until such time as they have been replaced. Foundation linguists are to remain on call in case of an unexpected rune change. Every new set of runes is to be transcribed into phonetic English and provided with literal and idiomatic translations as quickly as possible. See documents 077 blank through blank for archived translations. The cafeteria menu in Research Sector 861 must not include any potatoes or potato-based ingredients. Description: SCP-077 appears to be the top half of a human skull engraved with runes, each filled with an unidentified black resin. The runes change every lunar month, defined by the full moon rising above the horizon in Ireland, as well as the winter and summer solstices. The spring and autumn equinoxes, and whenever a partial, annular, or total solar or lunar eclipse is visible from Ireland. If these engravings are not read aloud at least once within a 24-hour period, the eye sockets and nasal cavity of SCP-077 will emit SCP-077-1. SCP-077-1 is a luminescent green vapor whose precise nature remains undetermined. It is to be noted that although SCP-077-1 behaves as a normal gas in all other ways, it only occupies those spaces which are within SCP-077's effective line of sight, and does not flow into the space behind SCP-077 unless confined. Oblique, impermeable barriers with no biological content can provide temporary protection from SCP-077-1, however, attempts to permanently contain SCP-077 within opaque containers have failed, due to the artifact's production of sufficient quantities of SCP-077-1 to explosively rupture these containers. All biological material, with the obvious exception of SCP-077 itself, which come into contact with SCP-077-1, is instantly transformed into an viscous, molderous ooze. The ooze has been identified as the rotting flesh of potato tubers, Solanum tuberosum, which have been severely infected with the potato blight. Phytophthora infestans. 1 cubic centimeter of SCP-077-1 transforms up to 800 grams of biological material. Reading SCP-077's engravings has noticeable, if transient, effects on the health of the readers. These effects include nausea, cramps, headaches, dizziness, incontinence, fever, skin rashes, nosebleeds, and fatigue states. Effects intensify as the time between readings increases, and can become cumulative for individuals who read the engravings too many times consecutively or too frequently. Readers have a 60% chance of developing an allergy to potatoes. Addendum 077-01. Artifact was recovered from blank blank in the village of Redacted, Ireland. Locals had built a shrine around the artifact, where upwards of redacted participants would engage in a nightly ritual. Fragmentary historical documents retrieved from the remnants of the village church see Archive 077-1576, and Library, see Archive 077-1582, indicate that the artifact existed in as early as 1848, at which point in time it is described in highly positive terms, including protector and redacted. By 1869, however, references to the artifact are fearful, resentful, and couched in euphemism. And we have a link with one of the redacteds, which is SCP-168-9, which we are, again, not going to read today. That is the end of SCP-77. And that is where we are going to end it today. I think we got through 11, which I'm rather happy with. Well, thank you everyone who has come. It's been an absolute pleasure reading for you, and if you're on Twitch, I hope you follow if you haven't already. If you liked it and you haven't already. If you are on YouTube, I'd love a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it and if you want to see more. Feel free to tell me what you enjoyed, what you want to see improved, or whatever else you may want. I'll be back with more SCP readings Tuesday and Thursday for the Resurrection series. I believe, Resurrection. And again on Saturday and Sunday with more article readings. But for now, thank you very much for coming. I hope you have a wonderful day or night, whichever it may be. And I bid you adieu. Thank you for coming.